Hello, welcome back to the podcast, Wonderful Technologist. So, hope you're having an awesome week. It has been one snowy, just freezing rain, just icy, whatever it is that Illinois wants to encounter, right? So, that has been what has been happening so far. So, I'm counting down the days to summer because, I grew up in the desert, so I am a summer person. So that is me and just can't wait because I am not a fan of snow. So in today's episode, I wanted to cover some of the frustrations that I encountered as a new technologist when I was learning. So I know in a prior episode, I had discussed the challenges of CT and usually what the challenges are as a beginner. Now, I can tell you the biggest frustrations that I encountered was education and just having somebody that was really skilled in learning. I'm not saying that I didn't have clinical instructors and I didn't have, supervisors that were very, very good when it came to learning what I needed to learn. What I'm saying is I think it would have helped me in my CT journey to have some kind of education while I was cross training on site. And so I can kind of piece together not only what I was learning, but also making sure that I retained that education. I think that was probably one of the hardest struggles for me because it was super difficult because back then there were very few CT books that were out there. There were no CT programs that existed when I was cross training. There was maybe a self-study guide from the MIC Institute, which I got to tell you, their self-study is really good. And I use those books when I took the registry. So if you're interested in that, I'll make sure I put that in the show notes. Those were the only things, and maybe some books on Amazon where it was like a registry review. A lot of it was registry review. What I was really looking for, and it was the biggest frustration when I was learning and training as a technologist, is where's the education piece? Where can I sit down and either look at modules or watch somebody live teach, you know, in the clinical setting on how I execute an exam properly, how I do this exam properly. If I have to change my technical factors? How do I get that done? That I think is the hugest piece that is missing. Now, I know that when it comes to these CT programs that have evolved since then, yes, they do have the didactic portion and the clinical, instruction portion, and they go over that. And then they assign, you pick a clinical site and then you learn at the clinical site hands on as far as what you need to know so that you can take the registry and sign off on exams. Honestly, and I'm going to be real freaking honest, I think that's the way they do it. It's completely fucking backwards. Okay. You really need to hanker down and do the basics. Say, okay, this is what you're going to learn. Now, I understand that you need to know all the physics and all the technical stuff. Yes, because on the registry, that is very important. And you have to know what you're looking at and picking out different types of anatomy, answering those technical questions, those physics questions, because that is important to pass that registry. And that is a big emphasis. Not knocking that. What I'm saying is, a lot of these programs are missing that educational piece when they go out there into the clinical setting. That's the piece that needs to continue on. That's the piece that these techs need. That's the piece that I was so freaking frustrated and racking my brain on. Why doesn't this exist? Why is it that we come in, we're just thrown in and say, okay, well, you have this amount of time to learn it. No, that's freaking crazy. We, as the senior seasoned people, need to really show the new people coming in okay, this is how we're going to educate you. Whether you have like a mini course, at your facility and saying, okay, these are the core basics. This is how you're going to set up an exam. This is how you set up your room. These are the main protocols. These are the main exams we do. Okay. Because we do. We have those exams that we commonly do every freaking day. How many times do you freaking do an abdomen and pelvis with oral and IV contrast or just IV contrast in general every day? I mean, I could tell you in my whole shift, I'm probably seeing about, I don't know, between 30 to 60 freaking CT abdomen and pelvises that I'm freaking scanning. How many PE chests do you see in an entire shift? Okay. How many CTA head and necks do you see? Okay. How many, extremities do we see? Okay. How many facial bones? How many C spines? How many T spines? You get where I'm going with this, right? Those are the things that they need to know because there's a big emphasis on learning these exams and the protocols because that is an emphasis that they need to learn when they're out there scanning real people, right? So those are the biggest frustrations that I think not only myself, but I'm pretty sure all of you listening out there that as CT technologists, it's really hard because we have to maintain our CEs, we have to get continuing education, and we're responsible for all that. I know those seminars and, the different types of learnings that come out during the year and the types of workshops and things like that. Those are great. But we also need to have something in house as well, like we used to back then. And I know I've talked about this on a prior podcast episode. Those are the things that we need to do. Like once a month, give the techs an hour to learn, like whether it's like, they sit down and they take it or you teach it live, whatever it is, that's what they need. The educational piece is there where they need it. And then they need that hands-on and the mentor or, the super user there to guide them on how to execute these exams correctly. So those are my things on the biggest frustrations that I've encountered. I would love to hear any frustrations that you guys have encountered when you were a new technologist, you are a new technologist. Send me an email. Send me a DM on Instagram. So all the links will be down below. If you need help when it comes to your CT training, I got some awesome courses that can help you, awesome ebooks, even a course I teach that is worth 4 CEs. So make sure you check out the show notes and get your butt in one of these courses. Okay. So that is it for this podcast episode. I hope this is really insightful and I hope it was really helpful. So make sure you give me a follow on Instagram, send me an email. I encourage all questions, comments. There's no holds barred. We don't gatekeep around here. So hope this episode was super helpful and hope you guys have a great week. Talk to you next week.